Welcome to another edition of Uncommon Engineering. I'm Dan Hawkins, head football coach at UC Davis. Today we have with us an Aggie legend, Khari Jones, Renaissance man, currently head football coach of the Montreal Alouettes, doing a much better job there than when I was there. And one of the great quarterbacks in Aggie history in the UC Davis Hall of Fame. Wanted to start this section off a little bit with a little bit of flavor for Khari Jones in the locker room.
They don't know us. They don't know us. Hey, Sleep, this group is real. This group is real. We played them. We played everybody. I'm so proud of y'all, I don't know what to do.
Finish the sentence for me. Khari Jones and the Montreal Alouettes winning the Grey Cup would be?
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. It would be awesome.
Smith can't make the catch. It's intercepted. Touchdown.
The face says it all for Khari Jones.
Vernon Adams, the first Alouette quarterback to win 10 since a guy by the name of Caldeo 7 years ago as they get set for the Eastern semifinal.
There he is, our man Khari Jones. For those of you on YouTube, you get to see it. For those of you listening on iTunes, you'll hear it. But welcome to the show, Khari Jones.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate it, man. It's so good to talk to you.
Well, we think about you often up there north of the border. And take us back a little bit, Khari. You were a Sacramento guy. I think your dad was a military guy. And I'm interested a little bit, obviously because of your success, and we'll get to it. Tell me what your parents brought to the table. Like, what did you learn from them? What kind of foundational things did they give you?
Man, well, they gave me everything, I tell you. So my dad, my mom and my dad, Ray and Nina, they were born in Indiana, and they had me when they were 17. You know, so they were young and just trying to figure it all out. But I think the biggest thing that they did, one of the biggest things that they did, was they wanted to make sure that I had a better kind of upbringing and a better kind of start than they did. You know, being in Hammond, Indiana, and it was a little rough. It was a steel mill town, and steel mills weren't great. Going great back then. And so my dad joined the Air Force and with the intent of getting to California, and got us there, got us to Sacramento. And with me and my brother, I was 6 years old at the time, and just a great move for us and great move for the family. And my dad was a great athlete himself, so he was more of a basketball and a baseball player. And I played all the sports growing up too, and so he was my coach starting out. And you know, being, you know, I'm 10 years old and he's 27 in his prime, so he's hitting the ball a ton and doing all these amazing things. So he was great to look up to, and push me hard. But was fair and really loving. And my mom was the ultimate cheerleader. And I mean, she was the lady who brought a drum to the Pop Warner games. You know, a big bass drum. You know, she didn't like the atmosphere, so she changed the whole thing just by her personality. You know, to know my mom is, everyone loves her. She just has this glowing personality and just full of energy. And so I had the best of both worlds in that. Yeah, I had this kind of tough disciplinarian and made sure that I did the right things with my dad, and I had my mom to be that force that I needed, and to back me up on, and to hug me when I needed that too sometimes. So no, they were great, and they still are. Luckily, they're still around and still supporting me to this day. And so, yeah, having that background was such a big help, and I could see it from some of the guys that I grew up with who may not have had the same thing. I felt very fortunate with that.
You obviously ended up at Davis, so you took care of your schoolwork, and were they on you about that?
Oh yeah. I tell a story all the time with my dad. So I was a good student, and I always tell people the only reason I was a quarterback early on is because I was a little nerdy kid and I could remember the plays, and so the coaches could kind of signal the plays to me, and I'd pick them up, and I could go in the huddle, tell them to play, and go up there, hand it off to whoever I was handing the ball off to. Didn't really throw the ball early on. And I loved it because I didn't like contact. So I didn't want to get hit by anybody. I didn't want to hit anyone. So it was a perfect position for me early on. And then I got into it later on. But I always tell this story about my dad. I was in 8th grade and on the basketball team. And I got my report card back, and I had an A, 5 Bs, and a C. And he took me off of the team. And he didn't take me off just because the grades were bad in any way, but he knew I wasn't doing the best I could do. And so he needed to send that message that you do your best in everything. And that taught me a whole lot. From that point on, it was, you know what, regardless of what I got, I was always going to do the best I could do with the grades and on the field. And so I wasn't going to give one more than the other. And so that was a big lesson for me.
What was your GPA in high school? What ended up being?
It was, I think I ended up with a 3.8 or 3.9. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, so I was one of the top 10 in the school and all that fun stuff, and got some academic awards and things like that. I don't know if we had as many AP classes, so there wasn't 4.5 or anything. I think I had one back then, but yeah, I did a pretty good job in high school, and it prepared me for Davis, and that was the nice thing, because you know, at Davis at the time, they weren't offering scholarships or anything, so you had to get in there academically, and I know you went to school there, so you know, but it was
My grades were not that good.
but as you know, those professors there, they didn't care that you were a football player. You were going to do the work, and so it was nice that my parents and the schools that I went to prepared me for that.
Obviously, you were kind of growing up in a time when there wasn't a ton of African-American quarterbacks, and then you're the first one at Davis. And I'm interested, just as you're kind of growing up, like what your perceptions were of that, and did people kind of try to dissuade you or play another position, or you can't play that position, and obviously transition into Davis. I'm interested in just how that sociology took place.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So, yeah, growing up, I didn't really think about it, and that was one of the great things about being in California, is that there wasn't the division, and that was a big reason that my parents wanted to move me away from where they grew up, because there was a big segregation in races and things like that. So I grew up with black, white, everything, and being a quarterback wasn't a big thing for me. My favorite quarterback growing up was Joe Montana. I wanted to be him, and so I wanted to be just like him, and so I just studied him. And so it was only when I got a little older and kind of started progressing that I started seeing kind of the different views that people would have of black quarterbacks. And so it's funny because I was a good athlete and I could move around and everything, but in high school and starting in junior and senior year, I didn't want to run. I didn't want to take off and run. I didn't want to show people I can run, because I didn't want people thinking that I should be playing another position or something. So coach would call an option play, and I'd fake it and I'd give the ball off soon as I got it. And he's like, "Khari, you're supposed to read it." And I knew in my mind why I wasn't reading it. I'm like, I'm not showing you guys that I can do this. I don't want you changing me to a receiver or doing something like that. And because I knew in my heart I was a quarterback. And so even going through the recruiting process, I had schools in mind, and you know, being in California, being with Cal and Stanford and those around. I was like, okay, man, I'd like to go to Cal and Stanford. But I started going to camps at Davis when I was in 9th grade. And I loved the coaching staff there. Coach Soker was there at the time. And just this, you know, Coach Soker, of course, but just a kind, beautiful, soft-spoken man who just kind of talked to people like they were people and weren't barking at them. And Coach Biggs was there, and Chris Peterson was playing at the time, but he was a coach there. And so just wrapped around all of these guys, and I saw Chris Peterson, and he was a starting quarterback at the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm the same size as this guy. And so that kind of probably put the seed in my head that, hey, something could happen here. And then as I went along, the letters kind of stopped coming from Stanford and Cal and all these places. They were interested at first, and then probably found out I was 5'11" and black maybe too, who knows, but the letters kind of stopped. And so, but I felt good about Davis, and it wasn't even a question of you know, being the first black quarterback or anything like that. I just felt it was the right fit for me. And I felt like if I got an opportunity, I could do something there, and trusted in the coaching staff, and yeah, and it just worked out from there. But I don't think I had to face the hurdles that some people may have faced because I was in California, because I didn't face it growing up, and I think my parents shielded me from some of that. But yeah, I never felt like I couldn't do it. So that was the biggest thing for me.
Talk about your experience at Davis and being a quarterback, and we can get into the coaching part, but there's no legacy greater at UC Davis football than particularly quarterbacks. And we say this all the time in recruiting now. We've had more quarterbacks play professional football than, you know, a quarter of the Pac-12 schools.
Yep.
What did that development, what did you get from Biggs and Soker and that whole legacy? What did you learn, and what did you take from it? And really, maybe what are you still using with that?
Yeah, I'm using everything from there. I still am, you know. I feel like, from 9th grade on, I used the Davis model in everything that I was doing. I used it in high school. I used it in Davis. I used it in college. And I think what I got from there, first of all, like you said, even before I got there, one of the big reasons that I was interested in Davis from the beginning is just the quarterback legacy. And I mean, you know, Kenny O'Brien, everyone knows, and Mike Morawski and Chris Peterson, and all of these, like, really, and Coach Bob Biggs, of course, who was amazing there as well. But just amazing quarterbacks year in and year out. And so to be a part of that, and to know that going to a small school, you still have the opportunity to become a professional quarterback. That was big to me because I still had dreams of being a professional quarterback. And so I knew that was a fit. Also the actual coaching, and like I said, going to camps there and getting to know Coach Biggs in particular, and knowing that he was going to be my coach coming in, knowing that Coach Morawski was there at the time. I knew I was going to be learning from the best, and I knew that I was going to be a fundamentally sound quarterback, and that's what you get coming out of there. From every guy that you see come out of that program, they know what they're doing. They know the fundamentals of football, and I know that continues on today with what you guys are doing there. And so that really excited me about being there. And I wasn't wrong. Everything that I got there was great. And there's a reason that Davis had so much success for so long, especially against schools that were scholarship schools. I love telling people, we were, like, my last year, we were in between divisions. So we were in a league with all scholarship schools, and we won the league. You know, I mean, we beat everybody, and that was a sense of pride for us because we were like we felt ourselves the city of forgotten toys or something, you know, and a little smaller, little slower, little whatever than all these other. if you line us up with any other team, you would say this team is going to win. But fundamentally and just the desire to win, Davis just had it, and that's the quarterback position is where it all starts, as you know, and I feel like we just always had that person, and I was honored to be that person for a couple of years.
Give me three things quarterback. You said, man, these are the three things you learned from Soap, Biggs, Morawski, Pete, and you say now, you look at your quarterback, you saying these three things.
Oh my gosh. I think the biggest thing, and I still talk about it, is you throw with your feet and you throw with your eyes. You know, I don't worry too much about the throwing motion on guys and anything. I thought, especially Coach Biggs, we drilled footwork, and that was and just the basics and the fundamentals and going over the bag drill and things that I still use to this day with my guys. It's weird because I'm still so involved in the quarterback position. So I'm the offensive coordinator and I'm the quarterback coach, and it's going to be tough to get me off of that because I love coaching quarterbacks. That's just something that's ingrained in me, and that was what I got from him. Coach Peterson, what I got is working in the weight room. And he was a coach there, but he was also big into the weight room and made sure that we did what we needed to do to be strong. And that guy could lift a ton back in his day, and he was big on the power cleans, and so that got us going with that. And just from all of them, Morawski especially, but Coach Biggs as well, just the demeanor and how you carry yourself as a quarterback as well, because it's so much more than what happens on the field. It's how you carry yourself, how you react after an interception, how you react after a touchdown. All of those things, guys at Davis and the people that I learned from just did it with pride, that you knew that you were in there with somebody who was a professional, even at the college level, and knew what they were doing. And from Coach Biggs, he always treated me and the other quarterbacks just like guys, you know. I mean, he was just great. He treated us like everybody else from a freshman on, and I've always appreciated that. And so when I talk to my guys, whether they're a rookie guy or whether they're a 10th year guy, I always try to treat them with respect, and I really learned that from Coach Biggs and all the coaches there.
So during your time there now, we've heard rumors of the early stages of freestyle rapping coming from you. You dissuaded that career. We've also heard rumors of Othello. You dissuaded that career. We talk about being a Davis guy and well-roundedness. So I want you to talk a little bit about your drama career. I want you to talk about, maybe if you got a little freestyle rap in you, we could hear that. Just talk about this Davis guy, this kind of well-roundedness aspect.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, that was a cool thing about being a Davis too, is that I was kind of allowed to be more than a football player. And I took advantage of it. I really did, you know, as a student-wise, and it's funny because I got into drama my first year. It was either first or second year, but I was redshirting. I think I played on the freshman team my first year, and then my second year I redshirted. And I was kind of bored because I was used to playing football, basketball, and baseball in high school, and get to Davis, and I'm like, I need something to do. So I took a drama class and loved it and started getting into it. And then I said, they were auditioning for a play, and it was a primarily African-American cast. And I said, you know what? I don't have any experience, but I'm going to learn a monologue. So I got a book at the library, learned a monologue over the weekend, went in there and auditioned, and I got a part. And so that started it off, and I met some great people in the drama department, Harry Johnson in particular, who was a big drama teacher there at the time, and just gave me a lot of confidence on that side of things. And I found the similarities in between the two, you know, playing in front of people on the football field and being on the stage. It was very similar to me. So after the football season, I would go over to the drama department, and I would be in, you know, everything, Shakespeare plays. I was in musicals. I played Juan Perón in Evita. It was outstanding. And so I had the kind of two dual lives going on, and it was pretty special. And then rapping was just a fun thing that I used to do. And yeah. So you
got a little in you? Can we get
man. Let's see. Okay. Hello. Or should I say, oh, yo, in case you did not know, the name's Khari. Okay, oh, I'm coming smooth, hitting with a funky groove, sure to make you move, cause I got a lot to prove to the people of the world, showing that I'm not a squirrel, climbing up another tree. That ain't me, G. I'm just hanging out to show you the right way to have a good time, be it night or day or spring or winter or the 4th of July. So why would you try to fly with another guy besides me, Khari? All right, I'm done.
That was
awesome.
So did you have some thoughts about getting into the acting thing and making a run at that?
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny because I have over the years kind of jumped in and jumped out a little bit. I have, I've been in some movies over the years, some, you know, made for TV movies and things like that. So yeah, I have an IMDb page, and the guys, there was a movie called Confessions of a Go-Go Girl that I play a club owner and just a yuppie club manager or something. And so I have some
Did they try and typecast you?
I know, what the heck, man? I don't, you know, so I go tell a girl to see Dr. Double D or something. And then, so the guys, of course, they bring this up, and they can find everything on the internet now. So yeah, I've been over the years coaching and stuff. I'll look up, and there'll be that scene on the projector, and I'm like, you guys are killing me. So yeah, so I go in and out. I've done some plays here in Canada years ago. I like to stay active with everything. So even though coaching is my number one passion, I still have dreams of doing some acting and stuff too. So it never dies.
Bill McCartney in Colorado went out there. He's like, Hawker, you got to just pretend you're in a movie. Just pretend you're in a movie.
Yeah.
So it's a different scene, you know, and all that. But
I love it.
We can't get out of here without taking a look at these gold shoes, the gold tight tops. So I think the picture's actually in black and white. So maybe you could throw a few pictures up here. Check you out in action.
Oh, man. The gold shoes.
Yeah, tell us the story behind the gold shoes.
Yeah, the gold shoes, man. So you know, I played my first 3 years now as a backup. You know, I played on the freshman team when they had it, a red shirt, and then sophomore year, I was a backup quarterback, but hadn't really made a dent in anything. And so just before the blue and gold game, I think I called Coach Biggs and I asked him, and I was like, do you mind if I spray paint my shoes gold? And to his credit, he was like, yeah, well, you better go out there and play if you want to do that. So I just had it in my head. I wanted to do something different. I always wanted to be just a little, I mean, everything is the same. And and people that knew me knew that I wasn't like a showboat or anything like that. I didn't want to, I wasn't tooting my own horn. It was just like, I'm here. I felt like I needed something to show, and like I'm ready to go. And so I spray painted the shoes. I love the look, and went out there and played, you know, well enough to win the starting spot. And then I was like, I got to keep just spray painting them. So that just became a tradition. So the day before the game, I'd go out on my balcony and spray paint the shoes and get them looking good. And yeah, I'm sure the opponents probably had things to say, but I knew I had to back it up. And that was the thing that I loved. I loved that pressure of saying, all right, let's come at me, and I'm going to come at you. And so, Yeah, it kind of became a thing. So people, I love it that, I mean, 20 some odd years later, almost 30 years later, people still remember
There he is, black and white. They're glistening. They're glistening in the sun.
the gold shoes. Look at that. I know. See, we had color photos back then. I probably got a few. I should have given it.
You were handing it off to the better 34 there.
I was. Old Preston Jackson. Yep, we were the duo back there, man. So no, but yeah, those gold shoes, they were fun. It was a fun time back then, and like I said, I give Coach Biggs a lot of credit to allowing me to do that and be a little different. He knew that it wasn't necessarily a flashy thing or anything like that. I just was like, I'm here, guys. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So your journey to Canada took you through the Arena League and NFL Europe, or the World League of American football over there. And so just talk to us a little bit about your journey there. You were out, I think, a little bit before you even got to try out. So just talk to us about some of the moments in your journey of going Arena League, World League, Canada.
Yeah, it was a long journey, man. It really was. So first year out, and I'm coming off of a very good senior season and the MVP of the league, and things were going well, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have an opportunity to play professionally, and either NFL or CFL, but I was hoping NFL. And so I started going to tryouts and getting looks and all of these things, but nobody wanted me, not one team. And so I remember going to a Winnipeg Blue Bombers tryout in San Francisco, and they had a bunch of guys there, and I threw the ball for a while, and then they made the first cuts, and I was part of the first cuts. And so I was out of there. And so, but I went with a couple of receivers, so I had to wait for them, and so it was just like, oh, come on. And so, yeah, spent that whole first year out of football. And so I substitute taught and started acting again. But with the whole desire, I still think I can play this game. And so I still felt like I had the ability to play. So I still was working out, still was doing everything. I sent my film out, these VHS tapes at the time. I sent them out to every NFL team, every CFL team, and every arena team that was playing at the time. And I got 2 responses back, 2 calls back. And one was from Tony Dungy, of all people. So Tony Dungy, and he may not even know this. Hopefully I'll get to talk to him at one point in time. But he talked to my dad, and he called him personally. He was the coach of Tampa Bay at the time. And he said, hey, I really like your son's tape. They didn't have a place for me there, but I was on the radar. And they had Sean King at the time, who was a similar quarterback to me. And so, but it gave me some encouragement, because at least it showed that he watched it, for one thing, which I was excited about, and that he liked what he saw. And then the other team was the Albany Firebirds, and it was Mike Hohensee. He was the head coach at the Albany Firebirds at the time. And so they are the ones that gave me my opportunity, my first opportunity to play professionally, and I've had the chance to thank him since then, which is great. But I went there. I was a 3rd string quarterback. Then after that, I went back there the next year, and then I got a call from the World Football League. They had somebody hurt, so NFL Europe in Scotland at 2 or 3 games in. So I got to fly out there. And what was awesome about that was Coach Soker was the offensive coordinator. And so I always hated that I didn't get the chance to play for Coach Soker, because he had retired the year that I got into Davis. And so I'd only went to camp with him. So that was my opportunity to play for Coach Soker, and it was great. And so I was still the backup there, but I loved that opportunity. And then after that, I found out that BC had my rights, so I went up there to try out for them. Didn't get to try out the first time. That was a little crazy story. Then went up there again, tried out, got an opportunity, and yeah, made the team. And so I was a backup for them for 3 years. either third or second string for those 3 years. Then finally, I get traded to Winnipeg, and before the 2000 season, and I'm start out being the backup in Winnipeg for the first 5 games, and then I get my opportunity to play. So I get my first start, and I get my first start in a professional football game at 29 years old. Which is the time most guys are retired pretty much. But like I said, I knew I could do it. I knew I had the ability to play. And so that first start was special for me. And I threw for 400 something yards. I ran for 82 yards. We scored 49 points. I think we still lost the game. We lost last second field goal. So it was just a shootout, but I at least proved that I belonged, and that was kind of the start of my career. And so then I got a chance to play, be a starter for the next 5 years, and, broke some records in Winnipeg and did some good things and went to the Grey Cup. And so, but it was all from that desire and that thing in my heart. I just I know I can play this game, and to have it happen in Winnipeg, the place that, cut me, just almost after looking at me, 6 or 7 years earlier, that was a cool thing for me. So no, it was one of those kind of just keep putting your face out there, and something can happen.
How about the transition to coaching? Did you always think you'd coach, or know you coach, or want to stay in the profession? How did that come about?
Yeah, I always thought I would want to coach, but I knew it wouldn't be right after I finished playing. And so when I finished in 2005, that was my last year. I went to camp in 2006, but my arm was kind of hanging by a thread by that point, and been pretty beat up. And so after getting cut from camp, I just said, you know what, let me just get away from this a little bit. And the day I got cut, I got a call from CBC, a station in Canada here, saying that they wanted me to come and be their sideline reporter for the CFL. And so I must have been on the radar or something. And so talk about a great transition, because I was still a part of the game. I was still around it, but yeah, like I said, I wasn't ready for coaching yet. So I got to do that. I got to be on the sideline. It turned into being on the panel pregame. It turned into being a color commentator. So for 2 years, I was able to do that. I worked on radio for that time. And it's funny, because the thing that switched in my head that it was time for coaching is that I was living in Calgary at the time, and Davis was playing Montana in Bozeman. Which one is that?
Montana's in Missoula, Montana State.
Missoula. No, it was Missoula. I'm sorry. It was Missoula. Yeah. So we went down. So me and the family, we all went down, and so I got to hang out with Coach Biggs and see the team and talk to the guys and stuff. And he invited me to come down on the sideline and while they were playing. And they have, this beautiful, tight stadium there, and it was their homecoming game. So it was just packed and everything was going on. And I'm sitting on the sideline, and that was the thing. I was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. Okay, it's I'm good. And that was about 3 years out, which is where I thought it would be. And after talking to him and being around it, I said, all right, let's get this going. And so I started putting feelers out there and got an opportunity to be the quarterback coach in Hamilton. And that's kind of what started it off. And so, but yeah, I always thought I would do it, but I just needed to have that kind of over the edge. And again, it went back to Davis and back to that feel, and said, okay, this is right.
When you were doing the broadcasting, I did this as well. I know other guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now you kind of get a view from 10,000 feet, a macro picture of it. I'm just interested in, did you have any aha moments, or did things sort of stick out to you that you're kind of going, wow? Yeah,
it did. And that's funny you say that, because yeah, especially being the color commentator for, almost a whole season. Just getting that view and I started not only seeing it as a commentator, but seeing it as a coach and saying, oh, I would love to do this at this time, or I would love to, I see this, what's going on here, and how to exploit different things. And so that competitive spirit came out in me as well. And I wanted to care who's winning and losing, as a commentator, all you want is for a good game and back and forth and things like that. But it left something there still. It was just like, I need to be part of the fight here. I need to be on one side or the other. That's who I am as a person. And so, yeah, part of that came from the commentating too, for sure.
When you started coaching, and did you think about, I want to be a head coach? Did you just dig in and roll up your sleeves? And then we'll get to the part where you became a head coach, and that was kind of an interesting situation. But just take us through the transition, what your mindset was when you got into it. Did you think head coach, or where were you at there?
Yeah, I think I always had that in the back of my mind as a long-term goal, is to be a head coach. But also, I just wanted to make sure I was just progressing as a coach and just being as good a coach as I could be. So I'm such a big note taker and putting things down and trying to learn from people around me. So I was just wanted to suck up as much knowledge as I could. And so I had some really good coaches around me, and sometimes some not so good that you learn things from as well, and what not to do. And so it was a good, I had good lessons going up the ranks, and I felt like I was doing it the right way, as being a position coach for a few years. I did that for a couple of years. I was offensive coordinator my third year, and felt good about that. Went back to being a position coach, and as you know, with this coaching, it could go everywhere. And then went back to coordinating, and felt even better going into it then, and work with different personalities, different styles over the years. And so, but especially these last 4 or 5 years, it was almost the same with being a backup quarterback, where you were like, okay, I think I'm ready to take that step and be the starting quarterback. Especially 3-4 years, maybe, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to take that next step and be a head coach. And so now it's just about having that opportunity. And biggest thing there was just staying in the game. So I was able to get that opportunity. And fortunately for me, I was.
We talked about this before we came on, but now they're dealing with the Rooney Rule in the NFL, and trying to figure out how they can make that better, solve it. And it was a good impetus to at least get people looked at, but it seems like now it's not being implemented the way it was. And so here you are, you're the offensive coordinator in Montreal. Mike Sharman gets bounced. You really don't have an owner. Your GM goes. Now you're kind of the de facto owner, GM, head coach, all at the same time, and did a marvelous job, by the way. But so I'm just interested in how it was in Montreal, kind of in that situation, and then I would like your reflections on the Rooney Rule. We talked about this. It seems like here in Canada, nobody makes such a big deal about an African American being a head coach or being the offensive coordinator. But it seems like either a hurdle or an obstacle or more of an issue. I just like your thought.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I'll start with Montreal. Yeah, like you said, it was a pretty crazy situation last year, and how I kind of got the job and took over. And that, Coach Sherman was the head coach. He was the head coach in 2018. He came back in 2019. But there was just a lot of things going on. We didn't have a very good season in 2018. He was new to the game, so still figuring it out. And I learned a lot from him as well. And a great coach, and of course, coaching the Green Bay Packers those years, Texas A&M, and he's had a great career. But the game is just a little different, and just trying to learn on the fly. And but just after the last preseason game, the team decided to fire him, and they asked me to be the head coach. And so it came as a big surprise. I mean, we're getting ready for the first game against Edmonton, and then this happens. We lose him, and then we lose the receiver coach as well. And so it was kind of crazy. And I almost liked the way it happened because I didn't have time to think about it really. It was just like, okay, what needs to be done? What's next? What's next? So it was very, a crazy time, but a good time. And I was really just happy to have that opportunity finally. And people thought I was a little nuts for even, taking the job because Montreal hasn't been good for kind of a number of years right now for whatever reasons. But I felt good about the team. And that was the thing that I kind of hung on to, is that we had a really good group of players. So I felt like if I could just reach these guys and if I could just figure out the right formula, then I felt like we had a chance and we had the people in the building that could win football games. And so we went into that first game, and the cool thing about the first game was that we played Edmonton in Edmonton. Nobody gave us a shot. They go off to a big lead. 25 to 13, I think, in the fourth quarter. And then we mount this comeback. And I just see our guys clawing. I see them.
Sorry, got
no
too
problem
many going on here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. But I see these guys. I see our guys just clawing and figuring it out and getting back into the game. So we score, we stop them, we score again, we get 25-25, and then they make a nice play and they win the game. But even after that game, I told our guys, we're going to win football games. I love this team. I love who you guys are. And it took us a couple of games, but after we got that first win and got some confidence, then everybody was just on board. And of course, then we lose our GM, a few games into the season. And so I'm kind of acting as the GM with others helping me out for sure. Then the ownership is in flux. And so it's kind of crazy there. But the thing that I love is that the players didn't let it affect their on-field play, and everybody just stuck together.
You didn't let it affect you?
Yeah. And I worked really hard to not let any of those outside things into the building. And the guys bought into it. They really did. And so every day we would talk, and we knew it was us in that building, and we knew that we decided the fate of these football games, and we didn't make any excuses. No one cared that we didn't have a ownership, GM, anything like that. We just got the job done. The coaches really stepped in and worked really hard to make it happen too, and did extra things outside of their job description. Everybody just jumped in. And so that was a beautiful thing about last year. And so hopefully we can kind of keep that spirit alive going forward. As for the Rooney Rule, it's funny because coming up to Canada, and now I've lived in Canada for almost 20 years. So I started playing up here in '97 and moved up here in 2002. And so me and my wife she's from California as well. She's from San Francisco. We're dual citizens. Our daughters are dual citizens. Canada is a great place, and we love the States, of course, too, but we've been here for a while. But the thing that I've loved up here is that even as a quarterback, when I came up here, half of the league was already black quarterbacks. So it wasn't a thing. Whereas in the NFL, it's finally, I feel like, crossed that barrier. But back when I was coming out 20-something years ago, there might have been 2 or 3 guys, maybe at that point in time. And so there was this kind of invisible barrier to kind of jump over. And now, with everybody, Lamar Jackson there's no thoughts of if a black quarterback can do it or not. Where when Doug Williams finally won the Super Bowl, it was a big thing, and now it's not that. And a black quarterback.
I was a Rams fan back in the day. I was a James Harris guy.
Yes, nice. I like him too. I know. Oh, I love it. So yeah, that was the thing. So I never felt I never felt that thing. You were going to be judged on your own merit in up here in the Canadian Football League as a quarterback, and I always felt that. And I felt the same thing on the coaching side. And it may be a little tougher to a certain extent sometimes, but you'll look up and sometimes, you know, there's a 9-team league and there are, you know, 4 Black coaches, you know, and there have been over the years, and they've given guys opportunities to be a head coach. And so I always felt like I would get the opportunity to be a head coach up here. And so with the NFL, I can still see that it's the same hurdle as it had as a quarterback. We're saying, okay, we got to give these guys a shot. We got to let them go and be on their own merit. I don't know if it's happened all the way on coaching side of things, and you know, in a 32-team league to still have, you know, 2 or 3 head coaches probably right now is pretty sad in my opinion. And so, and I know they're trying to do things to alleviate that. I don't know if the Rooney Rule and changing the draft picks is, I don't know. You hate to have to force somebody's hand to do it, and I wouldn't want to be in that kind of way. But you do want the opportunity to show what you can do, and so it's tough. It's tough, and I think I still have faith that it's going to change, and I still have faith that guys are going to get a true opportunity to be head coaches in the league and be general managers and team presidents. But unfortunately, it just takes more time than it probably should. And yeah, so that's my long answer to a complicated question.
You brought up a solution I thought was not bad. If they said that if you were on a team and then one of your guys got promoted, that you would get an advantage there, thereby putting a lot of emphasis on the own teams developing guys and promoting guys and moving guys up. So your team would benefit from, hey, let's grow these guys up. Let's get them into being a coordinator. Let's get them into being a head coach. And I thought that was kind of an interesting approach because it was sort of benefiting the team for actually developing guys and giving guys that opportunity. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea too. And also kind of gives you a feeling of team loyalty too, where guys are staying with one team for a while and learning from them. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers approach to hiring a guy and letting him be there, you know. But so Mike Tomlin is there, and you know he's going to be the coach year in and year out. And before him, Cowher and Chuck Noll, I mean, these guys have they developed something, and the proof is in the results. You know, Belichick being in New England for so long, and you see the teams that change people every year, and you see the results there too. And again, I know, but again, I love.
You're speaking a lot about me in this podcast.
No, but I am speaking about you too, being at Davis, and I love it, and I love that model, and because of you know, Coach Soker having such a long career there, and then Coach Biggs having such a long career there and everything, and you're there and you're a Davis guy and you're there, and who knows if you choose to be there for long, hopefully you're there for forever. But I love that idea of people being able to grow in a situation, and just because of a season here or there, something happening, it's just like, oh, let's go. If you have the right guys, stick with them, and being able to develop your own guys, I think would be big.
Montreal. Tell us about Montreal. How's your French?
Oh, not good. I'm learning. I'm on Duolingo every day, so I'm trying to figure it out. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm speaking to anybody yet, but I'm just getting the language and figuring out the words, and so I could probably order a cup of coffee and things like that. But I love it there. I really do. I think it's a beautiful city. It's the closest that you're going to get to a European city in North America, probably. over anywhere. So you'll hear French going on, you'll hear Spanish going on. There's festivals everywhere. I take these long walks, and the guys kid me because from the Olympic Stadium to where I lived, it was about a 2-hour walk home. And so 2.5 hours depended on which way I went. But I got to the point where I was like, I'm in Montreal and I'm not seeing any of this. I'm just football and home and doing all that. So my walks home were fantastic because then I get to see the city. I don't get to be involved with anything, but I get to see people enjoying themselves at outdoor cafes. I get to talk to my wife on the phone and say, hey, I just saw this new neighborhood, and it was really cool. So yeah, just a really special city. So, and unfortunately they're being hit hard, probably the hardest in Canada by COVID-19. And so it's tough. So I haven't been back since March, and just kind of waiting to see where everything goes. And it's tough because I hope the city can come back to kind of being the same type of place that it was, because it's really a special place. During the summer, I highly advise anybody to go out there and enjoy a Montreal game, of course, but also enjoy the city as well.
So if the older you, the current you, had a chance to go back and talk to the younger you, coming out of Highlands and Center and coming to Davis, what pearls of wisdom would the older you give to the younger you?
Wow. That's good. I think I would tell me to stay the course, man. I think that would be the big thing, and say it's going to be tough sometimes, but hang in there, And I felt like I've done a pretty good job of that, but yeah, it's good because there's not a whole lot of things I would change, really. I really have enjoyed this journey so far, with the playing, with the coaching, with the broadcasting, with the acting, with everything. I've just enjoyed kind of being in the moment wherever that takes me. And so my family now, and we've moved quite a bit over the years, and so this is the longest place that we've lived in one city in British Columbia, and we love it up here. It's fantastic. And my oldest is graduating this year. My youngest is going to 10th grade this in the fall. And so yeah, my wife is happy. And so yeah, just staying the course is the biggest thing, just going through some of those down times and knowing that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And so yeah, it's been a good ride so far.
Give us some pearls of wisdom on parenting. One of your daughters is an athlete. Well, I guess they're both athletes.
Yeah.
The right ones. So you're a sports dad. So
yeah,
how does that go? What's your role there? What are you saying there?
Man, it's tough, man. Yeah, I'm a coach to my guys, but I try as hard as I can to kind of separate myself, and it's tough because I love baseball too, and my daughter's a softball player, and so I try to kind of chime in. Sometimes I've coached her off and on over the years, and it works a little bit, but I like the fact that someone else is able to coach her and everything, and just I'm trying to be the parents that my parents were to me, and just being supportive and loving and telling them the truth when they need it, and telling them when things aren't all the way right, and saying, okay, you got to get better at this. This is what you got to do, if you want to be where you want to be. And my oldest is a dancer. She's a great dancer, beautiful dancer, and she's going to university to study dance. And so there's not a whole lot I can tell her on that side of things. I'm just a bucket of tears when I'm watching her dance a lot of the time. And so it's great, man. And no one can prepare you for like watching your kids play sports or dance or do activities. I thank my parents even more now, just after kind of being able to go through this, just to see it firsthand, because I'm like, oh yeah, how their heart must have just been going out to me. It's the same way as my heart's going out to my girl. So I love it, man. I love it.
Okay, and you've been married a few years now, so give all the husbands out there a little bit of advice now. You're not around much. You're not home much. Mom's running the show.
Yes. Be kind to your wife. Be kind. Be kind. Be kind. Yes, she is. Justine is a trooper, and we started dating before I got into just before I became a professional football player years ago, and so she kind of fell into this life, and now she knows football. She knows what's going on out there. She's been great. Yeah, like I said, now that I go to Montreal for half of the year, she's the parent for both of them while I'm away, and so she just has such a big job, and I just try to be as kind and loving, and we're just really good friends. We just really like each other, so that's the cool part of it, and we still take long walks here and do our thing together and stuff. So it'll be 20 years in December. We've been married, and couldn't have had a better mate to share all this with. She's awesome.
Well, you're awesome, and we really spent some time. You're a total Davis guy, actor, musician. I laugh because I was the same way when I was in Montreal. I just wandered around. I called myself street boy.
Yeah.
That's Davis guy, right? Like, got to be more out here than just ball. So,
exactly.
But you're such a legend here. We have such an appreciation for you, and the fans love you. We talk about star quarterbacks all the time, and we really appreciate you spending some time with the Aggie fans and the folks in general, because you've had a good road. It hasn't always been easy, but a lot of lessons there we all can learn from.
Yeah, and let me just say, I love what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing with the Aggies, and they couldn't have picked a better representative of what Davis is all about. You're awesome over there. So keep it up.
Well, we're great. Chancellor May, one of the few, I need to have him as one of the few African American chancellors, in the country. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Kevin Blue, our AD, and
nice.
Tim Plow. We got a great, really good staff. So and unfortunately, you guys didn't pick up our quarterback, so he's going to.
I know he's in Calgary. Yeah, I know. Well, let Calgary slip up. We'll find a way. Believe me, I find a way to get what I want out here. So.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, we really appreciate it a lot, and really love you, really respect you, and really follow you, and all the Ags admire you, and what you're doing up there. Really super proud of you. So thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Hawk. I really appreciate it. Love you guys too.
All right. Take care. Peace. Go out.
All right. Yes, sir.